Alright, so we're going to be explaining Kade engine input real quick. First of all, we're going to go ahead and add two listeners. This is for the key down and key up events. This is simply to avoid input drops via frame drops, because normally on an update loop, you do input, but that's also susceptible to input drops, and that's bad. So we use callbacks because we're cool and we can do that. But let's go ahead and go down to this method. Should be right here. Basically, this is a pretty simple array. Basically 0. If you don't know, indexes are based off of 0. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. This basically represents what key is held down. This is left, down, up, right. And, pretty simple. This is what dictates that. It's just simple keybinds. And then we go ahead and check if bot plays on, if we loaded a replay, or if we're paused, then we don't do input. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and take the current key that we just pressed and convert it into a hex flixel key instead of OpenFL, because OpenFL is stupid. And then we go ahead, get all of our binds, we initialize another variable called data, and we switch through the key that we just pressed, and we basically say, hey, this is for the arrow keys, by the way, so we're going to go 0, which is left, then down, up, right. And that's kind of, all of that. That's the arrow keys, and then we're also going to go through all of our actual binds, and if we hit an actual bind, then, that's our bind. And if we didn't hit any binds, it'll be -1, since this is -1. And that means no keybinds were pressed, and, well, keybinds probably were pressed, but we don't understand them, because they weren't binded. So, yeah, we're going to check that, and we're going to check if the key is already being held down. If it is, ignore it. And then we're also going to say, hey, this key is being held down. We create some score screen shit, which is basically just a little thing that tells you more about your hit and shit like that. We're also going to create a new array called data notes, and we're going to go through all of the notes that can be hit and add it to them. And we're also going to sort it by the earliest note. And then we're going to go check if data notes, the length is not equal 0, which basically makes sure that it's not empty. And then we're going to get the first note that isn't a sustained note, because we don't want to handle sustained notes, since sustained notes are being handled in the update function instead of this one, because nobody gives a shit about sustained notes. I hate those guys. Those guys suck. Basically, we're going to say if it's null, that means it's probably a sustained note, and hope to God we don't drop an input, and if we do, I'm going to cry. And then we're also going to check for stack notes, because stack notes can also cause dropped inputs, so we basically just loop through all the shit, make sure we don't hit the first note, and then we're just going to, if it actually is there and it's not a sustained note, because sustained notes will be stacked on each other. I can't do anything about that. We just remove it. And then we say, all right, good job, you hit the note, and we do some more of this crap. We calculate the difference, get your hit judge and shit like that. And then if you have ghost tapping off, we also make sure if there wasn't any possible notes, you will miss instead of not missing at all. Anyways, that's Kade engine input.